thanks for people who are joining. I'm Josh Kelly, the Solid Waste Program Manager at the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, and it is awesome to be on with solid waste managers around the state. This is a hard time, and I wish I could say that the state was in tip-top shape to respond to this emerging issue, and I feel unprepared to completely respond to it. So I'm going to do my best and thank my colleagues both here at the agency and at the municipal level as well. I do want to ask for a brief update from Kelly Gleason about Casella's role and how things are going, but Kelly, I'll get to you in a minute. And I also wanted to ask somebody here if anyone's been in touch with the League of Cities and Towns, because I have not. Welcome, Susan Alexander. We're just getting started. So first off, from the state's perspective, this depends on your community, whether this feels worse than Irene. I think it really depends, and I don't want to minimize anyone's experience. I think for some people it's worse, and for some people they didn't get hit. But it really just depends. And the two big needs that we see right now, and I'm hoping you guys can direct us if we're wrong or square, is really debris removal and cleanup from a solid waste perspective, and household hazardous waste and other dangerous waste that might be getting into the waste stream. For Kelly to know, I pulled out things I was afraid of exploding in the dumpsters, or just the physical explosion of canisters, like people are throwing away fire extinguishers because they were in the basement or they were on the stairway to the basement. So anyway, there's a lot of dangerous waste right now, and it's all over the place. So the state's emergency debris contractor has begun to be engaged, and Dennis Feckert and Stephen Young are here with us. They are on location at the State Emergency Operations Center. You may hear this acronym used, SEOC, State Emergency Operations Center. It's operated as part of Vermont Emergency Management. Each agency has some type of liaison connection to it, I'm told. But even I have not really been briefed on how this works, how this agency works. So the state government response is kind of funneled through the SEOC. Last week, we got out guidance about what to separate from waste. We got that out quickly, and I'm told that roughly our guidance is pretty good. In terms of FEMA, they said it's pretty good. And it's fairly similar to what FEMA puts out, although FEMA's guidance is a lot more complicated, in my opinion. It has you separate your stuff on the curb into approximately 5 or 6 different categories. But let me pause there and ask Kelly, because you're connected with Casella and has so much capacity in the state, if you could give us maybe just a little update on the landfill and also your hauling resources and your people hours and everything.
Well, so as of last week, we were running at tight capacity on people and hours. We did have some instances where some of those central Vermont transfer stations and drop-offs had to close solely because we couldn't staff them because our own people either couldn't leave their homes or were dealing with their own cleanup. This week, things are looking a little better. We should be operational. Clearly, Montpelier drop-off is still not operational. Our offices were completely lost there, so we were working on opening and getting people into new spaces that worked out of those offices, and that drop-off is still closed. We're also currently working right now on some variances, waivers for the landfill, and all of that, and hoping all of that comes through. Sort of, we're at our max capacity, and we're trying our best. I know over the weekend we were able to mobilize quite a bit in Montpelier, so that's been looking better. And then just some of the things that we're looking to tackle are temporary staging, variances on landfill, daily cover, tonnage limits, and those types of things. So you'll be seeing that come through.
Yeah, sounds good, Kelly. Yeah, so I think the only facility that you had as totally out is the Montpelier drop-off location by Agway, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then we had some staffing issues at CV and such last week. But hoping we've shuffled some people around as people are a little bit more mobile.
Yeah. So we had a request from the governor that was fairly vague, requesting that the facilities be open. And I say facilities as broadly as I can, because as people know, there's residential town facilities in this group, and there's district facilities, and there's Casella facilities, and private, other private hauler facilities as well. The governor is hoping they can stay open to the extent possible to meet the need, essentially, from this flooding event. That's the press release we are working on right now, and the department and solid waste program are prepared to, are basically waiving the hours of operation and daily tonnage limits in response to this flooding event. So you should be seeing that hopefully before the end of the day. There are so many cooks in the kitchen on this one, I can't even tell you. So it's chaos until I can get this thing out. But the governor reached out and had that direct request, and I'm trying to fulfill it. I had to kind of explain that I can't force facilities, public or private, to be open. I don't have that power. Hopefully that is understood by leadership, but that is not within our power, as folks know. There is a desire to make sure waste can move. As most people know, most of this waste is okay to sit for a bit. People need to be patient, and I'm trying to say, here's the messages, Kelly, that we're trying to put out, and for everyone. Call before you haul. I love rhymes, so there you go. Call before you haul, because if there's backlog and maybe a facility is prioritizing commercial haulers and doesn't need a bunch of residential pickup trucks right away. But please call before you haul, and please be patient. All solid waste workers are getting close to their maximum, double time hours, 80 hours a week, maximum DOT hauling. So we're trying to put those two messages in the press release.
We appreciate that. Thank you. And then just so you know, I worked with Mike a little bit this morning on hammering out some of those specific requests so that it's not so vague. So that should be coming through. We were sort of internally hashing that out this morning.
The other two that we're expecting from you are what you said about alternative daily cover, which I think we're certainly sympathetic to if its materials keep coming in. And the other one is hauler permitting. I've encouraged folks to contact Barb here directly. I think she has the experience to be able to handle those calls and questions and to turn them around quickly. But let me get this to you right away, Kelly. And I said this to Jeff Bordeaux earlier today. If a town is hauling or a district is hauling, not for compensation, there's no permit needed, as we know. And a lot of this stuff is coming in not for compensation. In addition, there are contractors helping out, doing demo right now, and they don't haul for compensation normally anyway. It's a sundry to their business, and those can keep flowing. So Casella can keep accepting those if you need to put that out. Some contractors have their own tipping trailers, and they're using them because they're ripping out sheetrock right now. That's fine. That should progress. When it comes to more haulers coming into the state, we know that we have a need for services. And I think we just want to make sure we're maintaining a level playing field. Barb, anything you want to say there on that?
Yeah, and we just want to urge people to be cautious about some of the rip-off artists that are traveling around asking for cash up front. I'll take care of your debris. So we're really concerned about that. People are hurting enough without losing money that they can little afford to lose during a disaster like this.
Like the fly-by-night roofer who told me he could get my repairs done in 3 hours and be fine with my insurance company. Yeah. My husband was like, please stop talking to these people. Yeah, so Josh, I think you hit most of those on the head. I think the other couple that we're sort of looking for right now are being able to stage sort of outside of the transfer station if we need to, outside of cover. Leaving waste on the tip floor overnight if we can't get, an MBI or a haul trailer out of there. And then accepting materials that we don't typically accept, understanding that we need to separate them out. But if it's a facility that we don't take white goods, if it's a facility that we don't take e-waste or household hazardous waste, looking to be able to accept those, stage them, and then move them out from there.
Yeah, is Ben Gothier here? I can't see in the.
Yeah.
Ben, this is something to take a note on. I think you did a really good job emailing transfer stations already. And Kelly, by the way, we have a bad email list because 10-year certs and emails change, but you get what you get, and it's nice to have 10-year certs.
And I know if you've been in touch with Kim, I just know Kim was like dealing with her own properties flooded, so I'm pinch hitting here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And really hearts go out to anyone who's impacted you or Kim or otherwise. Ben has already done one communication to transfer stations, and I think it is appropriate to include temporary storage and also storage of materials that are not, solid waste materials that are not in your cert. We are looking for, this group is looking for HHW collection, and ideally, I'll tell you, Kelly, I emptied over the weekend a trash dumpster full of paint. I mean, it was, and other stuff. That's where the fire extinguisher was. And it was just like that dumpster was full of paint. And so Myers got saved because we got it before it was picked up. Because they said to me, is there any way to get this out? And I said, the only way to empty this dumpster with a fork truck or us by hand right now. I said, if they empty it with a fork truck, it's not going to be good. So Kelly, there's a question in the chat from Susan Alexander about Hyde Park. Susan, you want to say that, or Kelly can read it and respond? Well, Kelly,
we do not anticipate any, as of now, no, we do not anticipate any closure.
Great, thanks.
Our absolute best to try to keep everything staffed and open. The landfill especially, it wasn't as impacted up there, especially the staff that work there day in, day out. So the only
thank
place
you for clarifying. We've just been hearing rumors about that. And of course, people want to know too if you're going to be extending hours because they're working around the clock and they know that, it's Saturday at noon, it's going to close. So yeah, so that's one of the things we're working on. And Josh said they're going to have out in the press release is expanding our, we're allowed to operate outside of our permitted hours. So we're just sort of waiting for that to come in and have the okay on that. And then super.
To the extent that we can keep our staff there, we will.
Yeah, Jeff Bordeaux can send you an email right now that says you're okay to operate outside of your permitted hours. Jeff can do that while we're on this call. Okay, Kelly?
Thank you. And that's a blanket for all operations in the state, right? We don't need to specifically. Great.
Associated with the state of emergency.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You got that, Jeff? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I do. Just one thing, Kelly, that I either was speaking to Jeremy or Mike Casella this morning, and they said that the Hyde Park facility is backed up with, I think it was an 1.5 hour wait yesterday. And they're encouraging maybe if someone can direct haul to the landfill, just consider that timing. And so what is the status at Hyde Park today? Do you know?
I will check in with them now and try to get an update before the end of this call because no one updated me on that this morning. So I'll send out a message now.
Thanks, Kelly. Who else has their hand up? I can't quite see.
This is Esther. I do.
Go ahead, Esther.
So Ben, you said that you sent out a communication to the transfer stations. Our transfer station doesn't get emails or any communications. So who were you sending those to?
Whoever was email was listed in the last application that came through for the transfer station. So we just did a database poll. We got a lot of bounce backs, and there was some fields that were just empty because people didn't enter that field in the application. But that was the quick poll we did to send out that communication.
Yeah, I didn't get anything. So I'm wondering if the SWMEs could get that communication as well.
Yep, I think Ann sent out the same thing the morning after. So it would have come out Wednesday morning and sent it to the SWMEs.
Okay.
I did. I got it.
Yeah. Then I did, if that was from Ann. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks for that question, Esther. I think after this meeting, we can get out and make sure we get to the SWME list, whatever we're sending to the transfer stations as well. So I'll ask Ben to send that out to the SWME list, whatever we've sent out as a communication. We're kind of in a hold pattern while we're waiting for this press release to go through the gumming works. And once we have that, then we can communicate out. A couple more things to just get out there for information, then we can dig into questions, concerns. So as I think I stated, the SCOC, the State Emergency Operations Center, and Stephen and Dennis, feel free to grab the microphone from me at any moment. The state's debris contractor has been engaged. The main lead is Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, Ceres, with Tetra Tech as the backup consultant. Those are the two companies and firms. And we are trying to assess what the need might be with them. And the League of Cities and Towns has not been really engaged yet. So when we've asked municipalities for their needs, we really just only know about the towns that have been impacted. And I'll be honest, I chastised a little bit my Vermont Emergency Management contacts that they hadn't been in touch with the League of Cities and Towns yet. Stephen and Dennis can attest to that today on the call. I just felt we needed to find out broader than just hearsay on which towns were needed. Like, I think the League might be the best conduit for that. Has anyone been in touch with the League here? Okay. Dennis, anything you want to say about the contractor?
Yeah, I just want to add, the contract is designed if your local assets are overrun. So if a town is handling their waste and they can take care of it and get it moved, then the contract doesn't really apply to you. There's only a small amount of towns that are actually involved at this point. There's like 7 of them in the state. If you do feel like, for example, Esther in Londonderry, if you do feel like your assets have been overrun and you don't have the ability to move the trash, you have to call the SEOC and let them know. So you'll be put on a list. Josh probably has that number memorized by now, but I don't know. It's an 800 number, but I don't know the actual number.
Johnson is on that list.
I would
No,
like,
she's from Londonderry. Oh, yeah, Johnson is on the list, yes. Hardwick might be.
That's a potential.
They listed them really quick and I tried to write them down. Barry, Montpelier, Berlin, Ludlow, Johnson, Londonderry,
Not Londonderry.
maybe, and Cambridge.
Cabot and Northfield.
And Cabot and North.
Yeah, the bottom line is this list is kind of a hodgepodge of where we know there's been issues, but I think there might be more issues, and I don't want to have like anyone left out just because they didn't know how to send a pigeon in to fly with the message. We need to make sure that it's equitable, and I feel like the League is a quick clearinghouse for that. But and go ahead, Esther.
no, I don't have the number. I am not aware of it. I did ask our select board if they had been in contact with the League because I wanted to know how do we keep track of what we're taking, because we're not charging anybody for flood debris, and wanted to know if the League gave us any guidance, and we really haven't had any.
Yeah, I wish I could give better guidance. This is my first time in this situation, and the different things swirling are FEMA and what FEMA might reimburse. EPA might even come into the state and help. Where is EPA needed? We just had a team meeting this morning on the program, and I informed program that I met with EPA briefly last week, and I had prioritized. I told them initially that the southern 4 counties were where we needed EPA's help, but that was really when I was wearing my Matt Chapman division director hat and following Tim Cropley's lead on spills where the priority was needed. I think suffice to say that there are people getting ready with help, including possible FEMA reimbursement, because the state of disaster has been, acknowledged by President Biden. There's the EPA who's possibly able to help, and then the state contractor as well. As Dennis said, though, the SEOC phone number is going to be where, in this press release, I hope to send towns to that location for asking for help if they can't meet it with the contractors they have. Thank you, Stephen, came in the clinch. In the chat is the phone number to the SEOC. If you have a town that you know of that can't handle flood debris with local support, a la Casella or Jim's Rubbish or whatever it is, they can contact the SEOC and that will put them in touch with Dennis, Stephen, and myself so that we can figure out if the contractor should be mobilized to help. Again, the two priorities that Dennis and Stephen and I and Jeff are talking to the contractor to help with is regular debris management and disposal. Now they keep asking 100 questions about how much and how and where do they send it. I have a feeling since we handled this in Irene, we can handle this now with the existing capacity, disposal capacity we have, either in the state or outside. And second, HHW is a priority. It's going to be a priority. And I'm just trying to get people to separate it so that it doesn't cause an issue in a truck, endanger a worker at a tip floor, at one of Kelly's facilities or others. Really just to try and get that stuff staged. Most of it's already gotten wet, by the way. So that keeping it undercover is almost not even the biggest priority. To me, it's don't let it spill, don't let the chemicals mix, and keep it safe from the separate from the rubbish pile so a lithium-ion battery doesn't catch the rubbish pile on fire. Those are my concerns at this moment.
I would assume that contract would also cover small business hazardous waste, because so many of our downtowns have so many businesses that are digging out.
They actually have to get an amendment for commercial waste, because commercial waste is not usually reimbursed by FEMA at the same level. So they need to, there's like an amendment they have to make, which is in the works right now.
Right.
In addition, apparently FEMA has some hang up about black bags. And I was pretty upset with them about that today and said that is not shovel ready. These black bags are already full of waste. They can't be ripped open. They contain construction debris. They contain flood debris. It's not people's household garbage. Further, so that Stephen and Dennis hear this, I am not concerned about what Ben Rose is concerned about, that people are going to abuse HHW services in the future. I'm really not concerned about that at this moment. If we serve this need for this month, meaning into August, I do not think it will be abused. We need to meet the moment. Go ahead, Kelly, Lisa.
So 2 updates. Hyde Park currently, as of an hour ago, there was no wait. We have an extra manager down there today. So that's helping things along. One thing that Pat sort of noted is, and maybe this could be included when the press release or the variance comes out, is recycling's bottlenecking things. So if we could use more of the facility for waste only. I don't know how to address that, but.
What is, I'm not sure what's being asked for. If they don't have to recycle?
I wonder. Or if we could temporarily suspend accepting single stream and turn the facility into waste only.
So Josh, at the Hyde Park facility, the tip floor shares both MSW movement and recycling.
Okay.
And Pat's messaging to me right now is that seems to be what's really slowing everything down there.
I mean, I'm certainly open to having a staging area separate, but I don't know Hyde Park. I haven't been there, so maybe that's not even possible. For recycling, I was trying to say, so that you have the tip floor for flood debris entirely.
Not a ton of space, but I'll relay the messaging and see if there's somewhere else he could stage it. Maybe he could stage the recycling outside.
Right.
He can make it work. All right. I'll touch
That's
base
how
with
it
him.
is up at Highgate. It's outside.
Yeah.
So if that has to happen, so be it.
Okay. Thank you.
Josh Esty?
I'm just curious. We are getting ready to potentially mobilize this week to go to Central Vermont and do a pickup of HHW that's been separated. But I'm just wondering if that's going to become a problem with this out-of-state contractor, and if we should plan on not doing that. I don't want to, you know, step on anyone's toes or do anything that's going to gum up the works.
Josh, I discussed it at that meeting. I was going to give you a call, but then this meeting came right up. You're good to go. If you guys can stand it up and make it happen on Thursday, that would be fantastic. And like I said, you're good to go.
Okay, that sounds good.
Matt, do you have anything you wanted to say? Just, I know you just came off vacation, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you had anything you needed, I told them about the press release we have waiting in the wings. It's got a lot of people in its hands in it.
Yep.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one thing that I have to say is thank you all and keep up the good work. I appreciate it. I know this has been incredibly hard for everybody managing through both in your communities and work wise, and just I appreciate, and I know everyone here at the state appreciates all the work that so many of you have been putting in on this. So thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for, I really want to say, after last week's call, we were all just really impressed by the districts jumping in to help each other, from counties that weren't as hard hit to the counties that were. I will tell you, I toured Central Vermont's new proposed acquisition, which is high and dry for their new HHW facility, if that all goes well. And it was not impacted by the flood, as far as I know, because it's way up high in Berlin. So that's good news. But at this moment, it's kind of a catch or catch can. I wanted to circle back with Ben Gothier. Ben, maybe when we get offline, we can talk about what the communication is with transfer stations on the two topics Kelly mentioned, which is sort of taking in like temporary storage of materials outside and taking in materials you don't have covered in your permit conditions. I can also see that right now we have HHW sitting outside the city of Montpelier Hall. You know, it's the city hall is a staging area for HHW that Josh Espy will probably be heading there to get eyes on. And that is not a permitted site. It is just the only place we could put it. Kelly, go ahead.
We're working on another temporary staging site with the city today. So hopefully
Great.
we'll have that.
Great. If you wouldn't mind letting, keeping the program in the loop, and I would say Dennis is about to go on leave, I think on, what is it, Wednesday, Dennis, that you take off? Yeah, Wednesday. So you can let, if you could let Stephen know in Dennis's absence, or Jeff, that would be great. I think those would be two people that would be in the loop. And again, if you have hauler questions, contact Barb. She is prepared to work with Charlene to get haulers street legal and rolling, because stuff does need to move. Anything else I'm missing? Is there stuff in the chat I've missed?
No, and just Ben, if you need anything from me on our end, I'm around the rest of the afternoon, so you can just go ahead and give me a call.
Sounds good. We'll do.
John Malter.
Yeah, I just about some of the HHW, we're picking up a bunch from various households. We don't have a single spot yet that's being staged, but I'm just curious about the work that's being done in Central Vermont. If Josh, you've got some capacity for picking up some, if we've got a single spot that it's being collected at, that you'd be able to stop by. And the other thing is, we've gotten over 100 tires collected so far, and we're going to probably be getting a bunch more on that one as well. So just thoughts there.
The answer from my perspective is I don't know, and our facility manager is going to look in the morning whether what pile we're going to be looking at Central Vermont. But if there's extra capacity, it does make sense to do it all at the same time. So happy to just reach out to our HHW email group tomorrow when we have an idea of what we're looking at, and we'll let you all know sort of what is there and what may be available for extra capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Let me go to Shannon Choquette, but before I do, I want to reiterate a couple of things. The power of SWME is to get messages out. Kelly Gleason does this for the White River Alliance. I almost said Randolph Alliance, sorry. It's Randolph is a hub within that. The phone number that we put in the chat is the SEOC contact. I am pretty sure that towns are not aware that they can get help if they don't have contractors available right now. If they're feeling overwhelmed, they can try and call at least to say what their problems are to the SEOC. So what I would like to ask you to do is, if you would like to send your towns the SEOC phone number, and we will be getting this in the press release as well. I'm working on this language right now. But if you'd like to send them the phone number, if they can't handle the debris management with current service providers, they can contact the SEOC to tell them about their problem issues. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get it all taken care of tomorrow. Everything needs to move in its own good time. And the second thing is, on the ANR flood debris page, there is a flyer that talks about separating HHW. If you'll send that to your towns, so they can put it in their local front porch forums or put it on their websites, please separate. I mean, all these cleaning crews are doing this now, and it's everything from a contractor doing it to a resident doing it to a volunteer doing it. And things like mercury bulbs are dangerous, and so are rechargeable batteries and chemicals. So that would be terrific. Go ahead, Shannon Choquette.
Well, I see that Mark Shea just stepped away from the screen, but I was going to ask him for an update of the Rutland MRF of operations there. Or if anyone
Kelly,
has any updates. Or
Yeah,
Kelly,
Kelly,
if you
do
could
you
share.
know if it's up and running? The Rutland MRF we heard was down for a little bit.
I will get an update on that, but I believe it is as
Okay.
of now.
Okay. Well, I mean, those things are really not the emergency right now, but when they do go down, it causes, we get normal kind of traffic and static just with that. So it's good to know what's going on. Mark Shea, you're back in your seat. Do you know if the Rutland MRF is operating?
Yep, it's running normal.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and it's State Emergency Operations Center is what SEOC stands for.
Yep.
What am I missing? Anything you guys are hearing? Let me ask this question first then. When should we meet again? Is tomorrow too soon, or should we go for Wednesday?
Tomorrow's too soon.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll work on setting up maybe an afternoon call on Wednesday to do status updates. Kelly, if you can join us, great. You've been a huge information resource, and so communicating with Casella at this time is going to be imperative. As I said, I do think we can probably handle what the state is putting out from this, but it's going to take some time before it all moves.
Yeah, and so if I could just, so that I can make it, one request is not between 2 and 3 on Wednesday.
Okay.
I have a call with New York State.
They're all competing for your time. Other things I'm missing, Mark Shea?
All's good.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody from the staff solid waste program, things I'm missing?
Oh, this is Eric Brown. I just wanted to check in with SWMEs. We're going to try to be getting out. Our staff is trying to get out to touch base with some of the towns. Please, so we'll be probably reaching out in advance to see if there's any signage or support that you need from the state. So please let us know. If you think of anything before we come down, we'll definitely try to let you know when we're going to be coming down, but let us know if there's signage or anything that we can bring down to help the cleanup and support you.
Thanks, Eric. Go ahead,
Josh,
Kelly.
I thought of one question. Clearly, you're not doing any of the waste characterization studies right
Well,
now.
They're still going on, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're at any facility right now.
Well, right. So could we get an update on like if they're?
Yeah, I don't think they're actively sorting right now and haven't been this week. I can double check.
Yeah,
That,
and if we
it
could
was,
just get like a heads up when they plan to resume, Emma.
Yeah, so Emma Stool will get you an update on that calendar, Kelly, so
Thank
you
you.
can get it to your contacts.
Yeah.
I think the next time they're starting up is September, which should be when we have relief by this, hopefully, if things don't go sideways in the meantime.
And then I'll be out on maternity leave, so it'll be somebody else's issue.
All right, well, I'll get Emma to get you that update. And Alyssa, if you're on, Becky Weber, if you could work with Alyssa to set up a call for this group again, Wednesday afternoon after 3 p.m., that would be great. Thanks, Alyssa. And Ben, I'll follow up with you after about the message to transfer stations. Probably chat with Barb and I'll probably call you offline. See Esther. Oh, Esther, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so I know that I emailed Dennis Beckert saying that we found a staging area that would work in our transfer station. And Mark Shea so generously agreed to work with us because we don't truck anything. I was wondering if we don't get enough to bother Mark, we're having a hazardous waste collection in October. And can that staging area stay till then if we can figure out how to get our contractor to stop by the transfer station, because that is not where we have the hazardous waste collection.
I guess I'll jump in here, Esther. I think that you should treat flood-related debris and HHW separately from any of your normal collection events. As soon as you start mixing those two together, and you're going to lose FEMA eligibility for any reimbursement for that material.
And I'll add on to that. I think you want to move that material as soon as reasonably possible. And you know what Josh Esty is doing from a less hit district with Central Vermont, he can bill Central Vermont for that time, and Central Vermont can try and submit for FEMA reimbursement, and possibly the state can make up the difference. I don't know what the needs are going to be for our solid waste management assistance fund, so I can't guarantee anything at this point. That fund has multiple competing priorities on it, but you know, if Mark Shea is willing to come and pick it up, it's probably better than to move, especially waiting all the way to October seems like a long time. When I've seen this debris, some of it's open and it's desperately trying to keep it from spilling is part of the problem.
Okay, thank you. Not to be a negative Nelly, but I understand that FEMA has been pretty lax in reimbursing for anything, and there's still a backlog from Irene. So I'm not holding out much hope.
I feel you. I feel you. I don't know that I know much there, but document photos, receipts, who it came from, as much as you can. That's what I've been told. I just lit into FEMA today on the black bag issue. I couldn't help myself. It was ridiculous. Everything is moved in black bags. There was some suggestion we're going to get clear plastic bags out to people. I was like, this ship has sailed. This is not how this is done. When you haul stuff out of a basement, it's contractor bags. That's how it works. So sorry, but that's where the material is. So, anything I'm missing in the chat or anything anyone wanted to say? Questions? Final concerns? All right. Let me thank Kelly again for being here. And if she can join us next time, that would be great. And I do want to send you on your way with your maternity leave when you get to do it and have this well in your rearview mirror. That'll be great. Listen, I really hope that this is a momentary event that we can handle as a state together. I do think we're in it together, and I appreciate you showing up. And the marathon and the sprint has been overused, but it's exactly that. We have to keep checking in because it's constant. Things are changing and evolving. And so don't be a stranger. Let us know what the challenges or needs are or possible opportunities in all of this, and we'll try to be available to your needs. 828-1138 gets you to the solid waste program, and we will be back on it on Wednesday. Sincere thanks to all of my solid waste colleagues in the municipal realm and solid waste district realm, and also to the program staff who are leaning into this, especially Dennis and Stephen Young, who are at the State Emergency Operations Center today. And we'll be back in touch with you guys. Thank you.